I'm going to tell you a story real quick about a man. It's about a king, right? There was a king, and y'all probably heard this song or this story about the king and the beggar. There was a king out there, and he didn't have no son. He had nobody to leave his throne to. Well, he says, God, what am I going to do? He said, I got to leave it to somebody, the whole kingdom. So he ran an ad, not in the paper, I guess, but it was like back in the kingdom days, they put a bulletin board up, and they said that they were going to be doing interviews. If you wanted to be, to take over the king's palace, he's going to pick one man to do this. So all these people got dressed up, and there was people from all around the world was coming to try to take this kingdom over. There, a lot of young rich men and young men and just strong men and everything. They were ready to do it, right? But there was a poor man. He was really poor. Didn't have much, and he wanted to be king too. I mean, it's called you poor. I mean, you don't want to be king. Everybody wants to be king. And you can be a king today, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But so he worked really hard, saved up some money for some garments, something so he can wear, because all he had was rags, and that's all he had. He didn't have many clothes. And he worked hard, and he got it. He worked hard to get the money because it's a long travel. And he wanted to make sure that he had food. And then he set out traveling across his land. And on his way there, he seen a beggar on the side of the road. This beggar was begging for money. Sitting there saying he was hungry, and he had the old dirty clothes on. He smelled real bad. And that young man, that poor young, touched his heart. And he said, he knew the man was half naked, and that man was cold. It was cold outside. I imagine it was snowing, and that man didn't have hardly no clothes on. So the nice clothes that man had, he took off his clothes and he gave them to him, and he put his old rags back on. And the little food that he had, he gave it to that man, because that man hadn't eaten in a long time. And that man looked up at him and he said, thank you so much. And it blessed that poor boy's heart so much. And he knew that he was trying to go be a king, but he got blessings from giving that man, that poor man, his clothes. But he got enough courage, and he traveled on anyway. And he traveled on. And as he traveled up to the kingdom's gates, he gets there, and he's looking nasty. He's getting them old clothes on. And he said, I'm here to see the king. And he went on in to see the king. And as he got in there, he looked up and he said, God, that beggar looks just like that king. The reason it looked so much like that king is because it was that king. That king wanted to find somebody whose heart was right, that he could take over his kingdom, because he didn't have an heir. And he knew if he ran those ads, he couldn't find the right person. But he found the right person, because that poor boy that came up had a heart of gold, and that's what he wanted. So from that day forward, he made that poor man the king. Turning live with Sean.